No, you go.
No,
You go. I remember so I've got two things. I remember the first time I touched myself, and I felt very like dirty and naughty, and like, oh my god, Jehovah's seen me. The 144,000 have seen me. Like, you just think that they're all up there, and they're like literally looking at you, touching yourself, and judging you. But then, like, my other thing is like the first time I went into like a sex toy shop was like I was so scared and nervous, and I felt like I should be disfellowshipped straight away because I don't think I was disfellowshipped at that time. So, but I still, yeah, and it was just like
Self-fellowshipping.
pretty much because it was
Yeah.
so weird, and there was like, these DVDs, and I'm just like, I want to look, but I don't want to look because it's like so disgusting. But I'm very curious, um, and just like all the different things that you can buy for the bedroom. And I mean, I was in awe, but also like, this is so bad. Nobody should be playing with these things. It should only be your husband or wife that you play with. Like, and so it took quite a while for me to be like, okay, it's totally cool. I can have a laugh with my girlfriends about vibrators and, all sorts of things. But it took a very, very long time because, yeah, I still thought that there was someone upstairs completely judging me for. And so, I mean, sometimes I still feel it a little bit like, it's just, you still just go, oh. Oh yeah, it's weird sometimes still.
Well,
Like,
how
I
old
don't
are
think
you ladies when you start touching yourself? When you figure it out, you can do that.
I think I was about 20. It was the first time I got disfellowshipped, and that happened because I had kind of got sexually active, but not really, and it wasn't a healthy way to lose my virginity really because I was in a bad place with my parents. I was still living at home. I had really bad typical daddy issues, like me and my dad did not get on at all. And so it was my then boss at the time who literally was the same age as my dad.
Oof.
Um, and it was really odd and scary. But at the same time, I was like, I wanted comfort. I wanted to feel something. Um, and I remember, like, when you get sexual, you know, things happen down there, and I didn't know what that was. Like, I literally thought, have I weed myself? Like, why is it weird down there? Because you're not taught any of this stuff. And here I am 20, and I have no idea what my body's doing. Like, I had to have someone else tell me, like, well, that's normal because it's this and this and this. I'm going, holy crap, like, I am so not ready for anything because really, really
Did
weird.
you did you all get pulled out of the sex ed classes as well? Because I'm pretty sure I did. Like my parents are like, no, we teach that at home.
I was
Like because
allowed to
they
do a
did
little
have
bit.
them. They
I
had
don't
them at
remember.
school, but we had
I
to
don't
get
remember
permission
that.
for them. So we were always pulled out of them. So I don't know if anyone else. So there
We
you
we don't
got
have that in the
factual
Philippines.
information
I
at
don't. Yeah.
school.
Yeah,
But
no,
you
we
know,
had sex ed at school, and mum
We had
thought,
like
no, it's good to
life
do.
skills or something,
Yeah,
and it was
but
just
like
like a part of it.
there were like cartoons that we were seeing at primary school for sex ed of like boys in their bed getting wet dreams or getting erection, like,
yeah.
and I remember just thinking, this is like, does it even happen? Or, oh, this is disgusting. Like, this is really, really wrong and really, really worldly right now. Like, I should not be learning this. Um, and then there was, cartoons of the female naked body, and I couldn't even look at it. Like, for a long time, even after, like, even sometimes now, like, I won't have a bath. I don't like baths because I've got such this negative idea of the female form sometimes that, like, I'm not even allowed to look at myself.
Mm.
So that's still something that comes up quite regularly, like, because my partner that said, oh, you should go relax in the bath, and I'm just like, nope. It's like, why not? And I'm like, it's so
I
good.
don't like baths either.
Yeah, I'm just like, no.
I'm like, it's so uncomfortable. First of all, like just to lie there and do nothing. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, can I not lie there and do nothing on my bed? Like, this is
Yeah.
why.
It gets really boring. Like it's
Yeah.
you're sitting in your own dirty water. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But going back to Stella's question as well, I think I was 16 actually the first time I touched myself.
I'm probably the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I didn't really know what was happening. I remember passing a note to my friend in school and being like, hey, so a friend of mine was just wondering, like, can you get pregnant from your own like juices? She's like, I'm sure she must have known that friend was me. But like,
asking for a friend.
Yeah, always asking for a friend.
And I think I didn't find out what a blowjob was until I was like 19 or 20. And I had thought,
had no
like,
idea.
I'd heard what it was, but I had thought it was when you blew air into someone else's mouth when you were kissing. And I was like, why would you do that?
Yes.
Doesn't make sense.
But the thing is that when you don't have factual information, it does leave you vulnerable to people that will take advantage of you.
Mhm.
So there's power in educating your children about sex. Like, I think bringing up my kids, I did try and educate them beyond the JW a little bit, but because I mean, there's also sexual predators around, and you just like, I wanted my children to know exactly what their bodies were, and whether if people ask them certain questions, what that meant and how they should react to that. But I think that the standard JW upbringing and the information that you get, it actually leaves you very misinformed and very vulnerable.
Totally. Yeah.
I think as well, like another thing that's very prolific in my experience with Jehovah's Witness brothers is dirty texting. Like that is a huge thing. Like I cannot tell you, I think I've had over 10 dick pics from active pioneer
What?
Jehovah's Witnesses throughout my time as a witness.
What a lucky girl.
Was I
I think you two are so much. You're really young, so it's that there weren't dick pics around when I was.
Neither.
They had to draw it.
No, you had to actually buy a porn magazine and then rip a page out and pass it to your mate, I guess, or something like that. But
I think
I don't know. Only
my
friends.
First experience with that was like I think I was about 19, and it was also the same guy that later touched me unwanted. But because he basically groomed me in a sense by starting off with being like, oh, hey, have you ever like flirty texted before? And I was like, no, what's that? And basically before you know it, I'm involved in sexting. And I now, through him and actually another one of his friends, started sexting me as well. But I'm thinking, okay, these guys like me. And this becomes a pattern later on. And okay, if I want to get a guy to like me, I'll just, start flirty texting with them.
Yeah.
But it was like never like serious, I was the secret. I was nothing. And all through the sexting, I have no actual sexual experience apart from masturbation. So it's like, how do I even know what to say? What is happening? I don't know. At the moment, it's like, in the moment, it was just a way to get not attention, but just to feel like someone liked me,
Yeah. And then you've got to, like, when you're out more into the world and you haven't lost your virginity yet, you're seen as like a trophy to get. Like, so like before I even lost my virginity, like I was going out clubbing and people would find out. Some wouldn't believe that I was a virgin. They thought I was joking and making it up. And then the ones that did believe, okay, yes, she did grow up a witness, so she's completely a virgin, then you knew that they were only ever talking to you or touching you or anything because they wanted to be your first. And so then you are like, I really want to lose my virginity, but also I don't want it to be like that person only wants to be with me because they want to pick someone's flower.
Yeah.
Well, about me, I learned masturbation when I was in my 30s. I think 34. Too late.
It's never too late.
Yeah, I just stay away from my own body all through those years. Even when I was married, I just don't do it. I have my husband to do it for me. But when I separated from him, I still have my needs, and I don't know how to fulfill my needs. That's when I figure out that I can touch
Yeah.
myself.
Mm.
So
I bought my
And
first sex toys when I left this year. Well, yeah.
mhm.
So and like thankfully we're in the middle of a pandemic, so I could just order online and not go
Oh, man,
into a
I
sex
remember.
shop and be overwhelmed.
Oh man, I felt so guilty the first time I ever used a vibrator. I felt
Mhm.
so dirty and gross and like, oh my god, like should I have done that? It was just so weird, and I was in my 30s too. So it's only like recently, and it's like, oh my god. And then I went through a stage where I wouldn't use it because I felt so bad that I had
Yeah.
done that to myself. Yeah,
I
it's crazy.
when I was younger, when I was touching myself as a witness, I would feel so guilty and I would be crying and praying afterwards, like, please, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, Jehovah. It's the last time. Diet starts on Monday.
yeah.
But,
I had a friend go to
basically,
the elders about her issue with
Oh,
really?
touching herself and watching pornography. And I remember she called me over because she almost had a mental breakdown over it because she felt super guilty. And I went over and I said, "Oh, what's up?" She goes, "I've just had to go and have a judicial." And I'm like, "Why? What the hell have you done?" Because she is such a good girl, like
Yeah.
super good. And she goes, "I had to tell them that I am addicted to pornography and masturbation." And at first I burst out laughing because I was like, girl, you are the most goody good tissue. Like, how do you even know what that stuff is? Um, and then she's like, yeah, I had to tell the brothers and tell them all about what she does and what she watches. And I was just sitting there going, I said to her, girl, you're not the only one. Secretly,
Mm.
everybody does it. We just don't tell anyone. Like,
Mm.
why would you do that? Why
So
would you tell anyone?
my best friend
Ah,
at the time, for a while, he's gay, and like we were quite comfortable making silly jokes or talking openly either way about anything. And we used to have like an inside joke because I had one of those like jelly bean air freshener things in my car. And like he flicked it one time, and I was like, "Are you flicking the bean?" And like we had this whole thing for a while. But he actually told me that after he visited the States and he was talking with a brother who was in Bethel, that this brother in Bethel told him it's perfectly normal. It's something that everyone does. Like
mm,
everyone masturbates. Like there's no problem. Jehovah doesn't care. And so
mm,
after that, I was like, okay, I feel a little bit less guilty. So
yeah.
even that, like that is such a double standard.
there are
Yeah.
only two kinds of people on earth: those who masturbate and those who lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair
Mhm.
enough.
And then, like, it's so scary. But then once you start, like, realizing what your body likes and you're more open to things, you can have a really good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just getting that out of your head, isn't it? That's the hard thing that, those years of hearing that it's such a negative thing. And I think, you're talking about that person who felt they had to go and speak to an elder. So what
Mm.
was a young girl, what,
Young
20 or
sister.
something?
Yep, she was, because I was 29 at the time and she was about 3 years younger. So
Yeah.
mid to late 20s, getting desperate for marriage.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously she's at that time in her life where her body
Sorry.
is starting to get all those sort of
Yeah.
urges.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lovely young sister, and she was in a room with three men talking about how she touches herself.
Like that's so inappropriate. But
Mm.
I guess the
Yeah,
step before that, it's so sad that you would feel that you have to go and speak to a male because you're pleasuring yourself. Like
yeah,
that's how screwed up it is. Like, and I mean, do
yeah.
these men want to hear? Like, I mean, it's just so inappropriate that they have to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, they do
I,
though, because like in my judicial, when I got
yeah,
disfellowshipped, they hated that I kept saying, I have committed immorality because they
right.
wanted to know what it was, what I've done. And I'd just be
Yes.
like, it doesn't matter. I says, I've committed immorality. That's all I've
Yeah.
done. And you could tell they were poking because they were just wanting to get it off
They
by
were
hearing a bit
poking.
about what you. Oh, I wish. A room with 3 men.
But yeah, it just like, why do they need to know those details to think
Yeah.
about them later? Like, what is
Yeah.
it about the detail? Like, immorality is immorality. They feel they've got that ability to judge the level of immorality by the
Yeah.
actual specific acts.
Oh,
Whereas,
probably they probably
you know,
think that like vaginal sex is a deadly sin, but anal isn't. So they want to know all the details. Like
yeah,
you don't know
it's
what goes on in their heads because it's just that stuff that just doesn't need to be brought up, especially in a
yeah,
judicial with a sister
Yeah.
and 3 brothers.
yeah. I
It's
just
like,
seen
Yeah.
yeah,
a message that the elders probably went home and masturbated thinking about it later. But in the end, they're human too. Like, why do they need to know those sordid
Yeah.
details? Like,
They
that's none
know.
of it. Firstly, they shouldn't have to know it full stop. Like, it's
no.
a natural thing, but it's
Mm.
just so screwed up that people think that they've got to go and speak to them about
I
it
think
and confess.
the one time that I felt like that, so I was kind of seeing a guy, but we weren't officially dating. But he was Brazilian, so he was very fiery or hot blooded, or I don't know what the term
Passionate.
is, but wanted
Yeah.
wanted to touch a lot. And I just remember because at that time I had just started doing the cart witnessing, and I was freaking out that if someone found out, I would be taken off the carts, and like that was my favorite form of service because I hated door knocking.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
a
I
great
went to the
trade
elders
spell.
about that, and they were like, where did he touch you? What did you do? Like, what happened? And then, like, just to sit there and be like, okay, well, he touched my boobs. Okay, was it over the shirt, under the shirt, over the bra, under the bra? And it's like,
Wow.
both, all,
All of the above.
but not all the way. So it was just a little bit of, what was it, heavy petting was the term
Yeah.
that they would use.
But it's funny.
And it's
It's
like, why
funny
do they
'cause-
need
yeah.
to know that? Like, if I've just come to you and said, like, okay, well, we've touched each other, inappropriately, and I want to converse. Like, why do you need to know exactly? You
Yeah.
don't.
But they're very picky on when they want to know those details because in my last judicial, they wanted to know, yes, all the nitty gritty of me being naughty with worldly men. But when I told them that the reason I've gone off the rails and I absolutely hate religion and don't want to ever come back to this kingdom home was because I was kind of secretly dating an elder, but we couldn't be completely open because we were both not technically divorced. We were both almost divorced. So we kept it
Mm.
quiet. And so he was, what am I, 29? I was 29 and I think he was 41. So he was a bit older. And he would come over to my house a lot. We'd make out. He even one night got very, very frisky and turned on. And, he ripped off my clothes. And I was like, okay, this is a bit wrong. But hey, if you're keen, I'm keen. When I told the elders that, I said that they didn't want to know anymore. That's when all the
Wow.
questions of knowing more information
Yeah.
completely stopped. And they were like, there's some serious accusations. And so then I got disfellowship that night, and he is still serving in the congregation.
That's
So
a
I
lot
was
of
like,
information.
yes,
Yeah.
they wanted to know everything about worldly men, but when it came to, hey, the guys in your congregation are actually worse,
Yeah.
they don't want to know about it.
Well,
think-
I mean, in the elders book, they've got an out, haven't they? If an elder's done something, yet it was a few years ago, and it seems
right.
as though he has the spirit of the congregation behind him, then they will let that slip. But imagine if it was a woman who went in and went, look, hey, I did do something a few years ago, but I'm a pioneer. Everyone loves me in the congregation. I answer, I do everything. I cook for people. They'd be like, no, you need to tell us more. Like, it's
Yeah.
very selectively biased in favour of
Yeah.
men. The other thing I was reading a couple of different quotes from Awakes where they talk about, I think when they talk about rape, it's in a very negative light towards women where somehow they've asked for it or, you know, they've led someone to believe that, you know, something was going to happen. So then the rape was technically their fault. So
Yeah.
again, it's just that negative messaging. So that I think that if
And if you
sister
don't scream.
yeah, exactly. If a sister finds herself in a situation where, you know, a brother's come on very strongly to her, like it's the messaging that they've received over the years is that it's your fault. Like it's always, you know, that Jezebel sort of, you know, enticing the poor man who just can't control his dick or something.
With
You know?
that guy from earlier who started me with the flirting, texting and stuff, I ended up going to my elders about that at the time as well, but it was because I felt guilty because we had been sexting, but he touched me when I was sleeping in his sister's bedroom.
Right.
And it was in a city that I wasn't from. And their response, the elders were like, well, why didn't you run away? Like Joseph. Was it Joseph?
Yeah.
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 Why didn't you run away?
Yeah.
You should have fled instead of freezing. And I was like now I get super pissed off about that because there are different trauma responses and one of them is to freeze. And that's exactly what I did.
And it also shows up.
What the hell? Like, how could you say that to someone? I'm 19. Like, I mean, I was a young girl, and when you're a witness girl, you're even more naive generally than other girls as well. And it's just, why would you say that to someone?
Yeah, it's disgusting, and it shows how uneducated they are. They really have no place in dealing with anything like that because they're just to, you know, insinuate that it was your fault and to not even question that he has come into a room, not his own room, touched someone who's sleeping. Like, there's quite a few infringements there along the way. And then to think that you should be able to wake up and run away. Like, I mean,
like, where were you going to run to? Like, seriously?
Like, yeah, it was, and it was in a city that, like, I mean, an area of, I mean, it was a city where I wasn't from. So we were visiting. It was about 3-hour drive from Auckland.
Yeah.
Relatively dangerous to be in at night.
Yeah.
Where would I go? And this was pre-smartphone cell phones. So I wouldn't have had GPS. I didn't take my car down there. Where would I go? Where would I go? I would have got into a way worse situation.
Well, it's like the brothers told me I had issues with men. I'm too obsessed with men. And that's why this elder did what he did. It's why I have had sexual relations with a worldly person. I have issues with men. I must be a sex addict. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, but they want to paint you like you're the problem. None of the men are the problems. You're too sexual. You're playing on the men and you're tempting them.
Well, Kate, were you wearing a singlet like that showing your shoulders? Because,
Stop
you know, just shoulders, how dare you?
My sister had an experience like what happened to Michelle. Like when you were touched, you did not do anything, you just froze. But my sister, on the other hand, she screamed and she was pointing fingers, and she knew who touched her at the time because my brothers, when we were younger, he used to bring J-Dub's brothers into the house and they have drinking parties, alcohol drinking, and they all pass out and just couldn't go back home, so they stay overnight, you know, because so one of them, I think at the time there were, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 of the brothers who stayed overnight because they're too drunk to go home. And me and my sister, I was sleeping on top of the bunk bed and my sister at the bottom, and she just screamed, and I said, what is happening? And she said somebody touched her, and all she was able to grab was the wristwatch of the brother who touched her. So there were 2 brothers who were wearing wristwatches that are big, and either one of them is the one who touched her, but they were denying what happened. My sister, she spoke, she screamed, but the elders did not side with her, but sided with the brothers because the brothers were their sons.
Also, so in my experience, it was the 2 witness rule that came into play.
Wow.
it was, and he denied it, so obviously it never happened. And next time if something like that happens, which, you know, supposedly didn't happen, I should run.
Yeah.
So you don't really know where to put yourself in this situation. Either you scream, it's your fault. If you don't scream, it's your fault. So
if you're lying in bed asleep, it's your fault.
what else for a young woman could do?
I guess the answer is to just turn into a male. Like, and then everything will be fine. And I think that, you know, that you know, just here, that's, you know, a couple of stories that are very similar. There's like this pattern of sense of entitlement and knowing that they might get away with it. And then there's the messaging to women that somehow they could have stopped it. And we've got the two examples of not screaming, and then someone screaming with exactly the same outcome, because it's just, you know, idiotic advice that they're giving out about it. But these men seem to always get a free pass.
But they're not siding with the victims here.
No.
Just the reputation of the brothers is what's more
and
important.
Because I think as well, it's the whole boys club thing that you know, if they were to hold another brother accountable, then they would have to hold themselves accountable to things that they may have done in the past, and that's just something that they wouldn't dare think about.
No.
I get that same experience, but in a different scenario. When my husband put me in a they say it's just a meeting, an inquiry, not a judicial hearing, but for me it's like a judicial hearing because there were 3 elders, and then my husband, and then me. I was my husband was denying the reasons because he said he didn't commit any mistakes with the marriage, but I was saying that he's alcoholic and he cannot provide for the family. And the elders sitting in the circle cannot say, I mean, they're unable to say anything because they were the ones who were with my husband, his drinking buddies. So they're protecting him and protecting themselves, but forcing me to admit to something. Like my husband was saying, just admit to this and then I will forgive you. Like, just tell me you commit adultery and I will forgive you. But what about his mistakes? What about what he didn't do? What about what he was doing? But the brothers are you know, they just put their blinders on because they were his drinking buddies. So they cover up for him. They will not acknowledge it. It's the same thing with it's sex things, you know. Oh, we have a question.
How do you find it now that you are no longer JWs? I think like, you go, Michelle.
You go. You started speaking.
I was just going to say, like, I think that, you know, for a long time I didn't really take what they said about sexuality. Not that I didn't take it seriously, but in my heart, whenever they talked about anything to do with it, particularly around gay people, it made me sick. Like, it literally made me sick to think that they had so much hatred for it. And I guess for me, like, I just think that people are, you know, everyone is a sexual being. They have a side to them that, you know, they want to explore. And I just didn't understand what the big deal was about it. But I guess being out, it's being free of that rubbish and hearing it consistently. I'm not saying it's, you know, it's an easy thing, but I think you can buy books, you can go to a sex shop, you can watch videos, and I mean, that guilt, I guess that's hard to shake that off, I guess. But I think the more that, you know, if you want to explore something, it's a chance to do that. It is a normal part of life, and particularly, you know, masturbation is just a normal thing.
Natural.
They make, you know, very normal things obscene when they're not. And I guess it's trying to understand that where they're coming from is actually not a factual place. It's really just rubbish, and it's a way of particularly controlling women. I mean, you know, they tell us how to dress, they tell us how to act in the bedroom. It's just men trying to control women. So I guess for me, it's just, you know, exploring things and reading about things, learning about things. There's a lot to explore and trying not to feel bad about it.
And I think too, like if there's any, I mean, I can't really say for the men because I don't know what it's like to be a guy wanting to get their end
Wait
way.
until the new system.
Wait till the new system, and I'll be just like, whoa. But like, I think it's a lot more safer for women to realize that it's okay to masturbate, look at porn, get a toy if you need to. Like, it's more better and safer for you to be doing that to get to know your body and what you like than to go out and do it with someone else. Like, I think if you're leaving the religion and you're still a virgin, definitely don't just be like, okay, oh my God, I'm a virgin and I'm this age. I need to go out now and lose my flower as quick as possible. They just need to like take it slowly, get to know your body, do a bit of research, and okay, some of it is like even worldly people are like, well, that's too much. But just have a wee look at the soft stuff. And just try and figure out like, hey, would I be into that? Like just kind of gauge what you're comfortable with. And yeah, because the first time is always scary, definitely. But I guess if you find someone really nice too, and you can tell that they're respectful, you can sort of just be like, hey, this is the life I've had. I'm super, super nervous. I don't want to get hurt or anything. Then, yeah, just as long as you're really, really honest with yourself and the person, it shouldn't be too bad. It should be a good experience. If that all made sense.
It does. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
I think you answered the question in the screen. What's some helpful advice you would?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
to know
as well,
yourself.
like, just you've got to undo the sort of misogyny and indoctrination as well,
Yeah.
and think that like you are a woman, you're a whole human.
Yeah.
You're not an object for men, and men should not be viewing women as objects as well. So I think
Yeah.
that's a big piece of advice that I hope might help someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're allowed to do things now. For so long we're not allowed to, and now we're allowed to like explore and do it in a way that's like, good for you and good for other people. Yeah.
It's time for us to enjoy ourselves,
Yeah.
What,
like right now,
think,
Stella?
No, not right now, maybe later.
Sometimes the toys are a lot better than the real thing, just to say.
Somebody send me a toy, please.
Well, I'm all for now.
And I think too that like, sorry, I was just going to say, I think in the religion, like if you want to look good or something like that, they try to tell you that that's a bad thing because you're arousing bad feelings in other people when like however you want to dress or look is up to you, and you should be doing it for you, and getting rid of this worry that you're offending other people by not having a skirt that goes below your knee or something. And do you know what I mean? Go wear a pantsuit. And I was talking with them today. They make us all wear dresses because they don't want us in some kind of a pants and looking like them. It scares them. They want women in dresses and compliant. But do you? It's how other people
like do you
real
literally
good, real good.
Do you? I like that term.
Yeah, go get into the mirror, put on some nice tight jeans, look at your bum, and go, you know what? I'm doing you tonight.
I agree with that. Sexuality can be empowering, especially for women. But as brought up in a high control religion, they make you hide it, and it's only for certain situations. But yeah, it is empowering. Own it and not be ashamed of it.
That's a really cool comment. I like that. Yeah.
And I think hopefully we might be able to discuss this topic again as well. If anyone else has more questions or comments, let us know, because we will check them.
Because it's such a huge subject that other people and everyone's sexuality is so different.
And we're missing Naomi and Sherry today.
Yes.
I think the question, this one is for Katie. Oh, Carrie.
Has anyone had their experience of leaving with their JW, and how was the change in their sex life, if there was one? Um, Look, I guess it's only ever it was always positive, but I think it's much more positive because I'm not thinking about um, any rules, or I guess sometimes I didn't think about rules, but like I don't. It's like getting that person out of your bedroom that shouldn't be there. Like it's that thing in the back of your mind because it's none of their business. So it allows that real intimacy and openness with I guess being free with that, without just thinking in the back of your mind, oh, maybe this is a conscience matter. You know what I mean? Like it just shouldn't be like that. So I guess it just frees you up to be even have that stronger intimacy. So
I was just gonna say, it must almost bring you closer to your partner if
absolutely,
if you've been married to someone
yeah,
in the religion and then left, and then realizing that okay, now you can actually really experience each other. It must be
Mm-hmm.
quite a bonding experience because yeah, you're right. You don't think there's someone else watching. It's literally just you and
yeah,
whoever it is, him or her, with you in that moment. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
it must be just so much more powerful for a couple that can be like, let's just be ourselves and enjoy this now.
And even to joke about it, like
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
it's funny just to joke about it now all the time
Yeah.
and things like that. And I think all all round for me, I've been very lucky, and I understand that I've been lucky to be able to leave and still have my partner. But I think that our relationship we always had a good relationship, and I was lucky again in that respect. But it has just gotten better and better.
Yeah.
It's just this openness and freeness that you have where you just don't always think about someone watching you,
Mhm.
or
Mm-hmm.
checking what you're saying or doing. Like it's just a
Mm,
freeness that you should have as a couple, because that's what brings you together. Having this person, God, whatever in the middle is
mm,
what I think pulls you apart. And I think that is the whole thing with the JW. They never want you to have close relationships. There's always
Mm.
Jehovah in the middle or something. It's
yeah. Whereas you
yeah,
should be able
Mm-hmm.
to say to your partner, hey, I'm
yeah,
kind of interested in this, or what do you think
exactly.
if we did this tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
without
um,
fear of them,
without fearing of
Hang
them going,
on.
well, I'm going to hang on, I've just got to ring up brother
yeah.
Just gonna
John and just be
check.
like, so my wife, she's asked for this.
What does JW Library say?
Oh
Word
my
not
goodness.
found. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I guess,
it's
yeah.
definitely freeing, and yeah. Again, I've been very lucky in my relationship, so I don't, I feel very sorry for people where it doesn't work out for them. So
Mm,
I do
Mm-hmm.
understand
Mm.
how lucky I've been.
yeah.
Yeah, but only positive, absolutely. Yeah,
Well, even for us single ladies, Michelle and me. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess like I still like, so I took the no sex before marriage kind of seriously. And obviously I didn't get married. So here we are on the other side. I'm 36 and inexperienced in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm nervous when this comes up. And obviously at the moment I'm doing pretty much what Kate said and exploring my own body.
Yeah.
And like that's good for now, but like, I kind of can't wait to almost get out there and do things and experience things, not in a way to get it over with. So I think that that's a big thing that you can struggle with, is like, just like I just want to get this over with. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, there's lots of online forums. I've actually found a group of people via TikTok, and now there's a Facebook group for quite a few other people that are in similar experience, and have similar life experiences in terms of not having
mm,
experienced sex just yet. And so it's really wild because they haven't come from like a cult background, and there are other people out there, like normal people, that it just hasn't happened yet, and it's interesting. So just doing
Mm-hmm.
lots of research wherever you can, just googling, looking things
and when you're
up.
ready, you'll know that it's time
Yeah,
as well.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's like no pressure. Like I'm pretty cool whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens.
Mhm. I think also talking to somebody who is not a Jada with regards to sexual things, it really helps, you know. Like in my
Yeah.
case, I have a friend who I can talk freely about these things without judgment. Like I know little about these things, but yeah, if you have a good friend that you can talk without inhibitions, like
Yeah.
they're not gonna judge you, that's really helpful because coming out as a Jada, I mean, yeah, as an ex Jada now, we really are. There's so much for us to learn, especially with our own body. So, like what Kate was saying earlier, get to know ourselves. That helps a lot also. And yeah, talk with somebody. And if you cannot explore with somebody what you want to explore, you can explore with yourself.
There are lots of amazing things you can buy. Oh my
Mm,
god, you know it'd be so cool if we could somehow have like an online sex toy party. Now they are so much
Yes.
fun. You got like lovely oils, massage creams, different lubricants. They come in multiple flavors. I mean, I don't know why they'd want to be flavored or anything. Like that's a bit weird.
Do you know what is actually funny? I used to follow the curly girl method, and a part of keeping your curls frizz free while using a product that is sulfate and silicone free, you need to use lubricant.
There you
And
go.
so there was me. I was like, okay, I need to try this because it looks amazing on all the girls that I've seen. Like me fully J Dub going down like the sex toy, or not sex toy, the like condoms and lubricant section of the supermarket, and I'm like, please, no one see me.
I swear it's
From
for my hair.
I swear.
And it does. It works amazingly. And
Next, you'll
thankfully,
be
I
saying that
still have
condoms were
that.
used as gloves to clean the toilet.
Surely shall.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
that was fun, funny.
mm. There's still so much for us to learn about sex.
And here,
That's the great thing about being out, isn't it? There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
You know,
And now we can explore this taboo subject. It's no longer taboo for us, where it was
no.
before. We're not allowed to
Yeah.
talk about it. Now we have that freedom to learn, especially with regards to ourselves. And it's very freeing, empowering,
Mhm.
getting to know ourselves that way, that intimately. So
and I think
Yeah.
it really
as the
helps a lot.
great Moira Rose said on Schitt's Creek, you should take nudes now because you'll never look as good as you do now.
Yeah.
So take nudes
That's
in
such a
your
good
youth.
show. I love that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
But actually, I was like, I want to live in Schitt's Creek as opposed to Paradise. Like when I was a
Yeah,
J-Dub,
absolutely.
I was like, this is more paradisaic than the robot version that we are taught.
yeah,
I
because
want
there
to
was a
live
whole
somewhere where
heap,
it's nice.
a whole heap of broken people that just cared about each other, and just the JW life is just so. There's no variety in anything. There's no surprises. It's all the same, and I think
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
being exposed to different people of different sexual orientations, all that's the great thing about being out and free and just being open to learn and understand, just how other people live. It's instead of judging them constantly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
from
And
that
the
show,
best
like I
advice.
also picked up that line, like I'm into the wine and not the label. And I totally resonate with that,
Yeah.
I love it.
And the best
Oh,
advice
Sorry,
I
Stella,
got
you go.
from somebody is from a homosexual guy about pleasing the other person. I learned a lot from a gay man who told me so much about how to do it properly with a guy. So it helps a lot. I
yeah.
never got to talk about it with any girlfriends, but with a gay guy, I get a lot
Yeah.
of information, helpful information.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
great that you're able to be free and just talk about that. And
Yeah.
that's the great thing
Exactly.
At the
about
end
it.
of the day, we're all everyone's doing it, and we all pretty much do it the same way. So it's kind of like, okay, so how do you do it? Oh, that's a really good tip. And there you go away. You're just like,
Yeah.
note that one down. Because it's life. I mean, goodness me. Like I said before, like if we weren't given these feelings, then, what's the point in letting them waste?
Exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I see a question in YouTube for Michelle.
Oh.
Yeah, it says, Michelle, what congregations in Auckland did you attend?
Oh.
Just a personal question.
Why? I've been
She
literally
said
all over.
she said I was a JW around 1995, 96, started studying in 93, left in 97, 98. She's
So
just
when
curious.
I was around that age, I think we were in Papatoe congregation. So if that helps. But I was the daughter of a study. So I wasn't like, a baptized witness. I think I would have been 10 in 95 and like 12 in 97. So yeah.
Oh, I already had my firstborn in 97.
I learned how to blow bubbles and chewing gum when I was 7 years old. That helps.
How old were you in 97? 12, did you say?
Yes. So I was
You
born in
can't be that
1985.
old.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm not going to tell you how old I was in 97.
Yeah.
Just said you can't be that old.
I know. I was like, don't say that. That's me.
Wow. I thought you'd be like my age, and I'm thinking 97. I'm sure I was only 8. Must have been.
What year were you born?
89.
So I'm 85. I'm only 4 years older than you.
Oh
Calm
my
down.
God.
That's like a lifetime ago.
I was baptized in 88. You were born in 89. Oh my God. I feel ancient now.
Age isn't real. Age isn't real.
Age is not real.
Okay.
What is it? You're as young as the woman you feel. Touch. I can't remember. I know there was something dodgy. I can't remember what it was now. You're the woman, or maybe it's what men say. You're as young as the woman you touch. True.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew it's not really a great quote.
I'm still 20 in my head. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm 25.
Perpetually 25.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I miss those days.
Anyway.
Uh-huh. It's about time to wrap up this live stream. Do you want anything else to say, girls? You want to add more to the conversation?
I think pretty much just like, hopefully we can do this again. Send us comments, questions, let us know how we can help. We're here.
Yeah, I guess it's a topic you can talk about, but then like there's some stuff that you obviously don't bring up because everyone's got different questions, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that. So it's kind of like, yeah, if after this people are like, oh, okay, they didn't touch on this, or I want to know more about that. It'd definitely be really cool to probably just bring it back and explain those ones to people if they've got any. Because I'm guessing there's quite a lot of people out there that maybe are sort of in the same situation where they haven't done anything yet and they may be wanting to, or they're nervous. So come talk the old skankaroony Kate.
All right, I'll call you
How
later.
about you, Kelly?
I think like everyone has different degrees of shame and guilt when they leave. And I think like what you were saying, Michelle, you're just taking your time and just learning about yourself. I guess I left with a partner. But yeah, I guess learning about it, that's something we weren't even allowed to do. You were only allowed to read the publications. There's so much you can learn. Buy a few books if you want to. I get it's just nice not feeling like you have to judge anybody. And making a bit of a joke about it. Like we are all just sexual human beings, and it's fun to just joke about it every now and then and not be so serious about it. But I think it definitely takes time to get to that point. But nobody has a right to be in your bedroom. Like, do what you want. And I think it does just take time.
Also,
but, no, it's been great to
no
talk
slut
about it.
shaming.
We're not
here.
Totally no
express
sex
by any
shaming.
means.
No
Yeah.
sex shaming, no slut shaming, none of
No.
that.
That's
Like
the
we're
thing.
all
Like you can be a lesbian, you can be gay, you can be bi, you can be. I think there's like an asexual. I mean, so that's like a whole nother topic for people that are that. So it's like just embrace who you are, because we've been for so long not able to express ourselves.
I think
and our
even actually
feelings.
just quickly while you touched on that, so for me I identify as demisexual, which falls under the asexual category. Like you need to know someone before you want to do things with them sexually, but also as pan-romantic, which is basically that I would fall in love with anyone. That would be cool. I don't care what gender they are, whatever. But basically, even when I discovered the term for demisexuality, I couldn't even talk to my friends about that at the time. And so there's so much that you can find out. You can look at research. Yeah.
Well, I'm a great believer in also like just if you don't know what really which way you swing, just experience, like just try it. I mean, you can't knock it till you try it. It might not be what you want, or it might be a bit of something that you like. And that's the thing, is that this sort of place and this forum that we're doing is such a safe place that anything goes. No one's going to judge you at all.
And that's I think that's the most important thing, to feel safe.
Yeah.
No
even
shame.
if you want to do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
If you want to explore, just make yourself feel safe.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies.
Hey, thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah, we will have another live stream, but with another set of chat panel on November 21, but it's gonna be for the opposite sex. So they're gonna be giving their thoughts on certain things.
Really
so we're gonna be looking forward for that. But after that, I don't know when we were gonna have our next chat, ladies. But but next month we're gonna be looking forward for the male panel. So.
We'll have to get on the comment section this time.
Can't wait. Give the boys
it's our get back. Yep.
And I think, we know our perspective, and I do feel women got the raw end of the stick, being JWs, but it's interesting to understand how the males felt about it. Were they uncomfortable with a lot of things that were happening in the organisation? I think a lot of them weren't, but it's interesting to obviously hear another point of view. So that'd be really great to hear them all chat.
Getting to know them.
Definitely missed having Sasha in the comments tonight, because he's usually here going.
He's very good.
I'm surprised he doesn't just pop in on the camera.
He's gonna be on the panel next month.
He's on the panel.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
we'll be there for Sasha.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies.
All right,
thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you everyone who are watching and who are giving comments. Thank you for the questions. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
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 Bye.